Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back to my wildlife art channel. Now today's video is going to be an oil painting, and it's going to be of a beautiful swan, a picture I took on the River Orwell at PinMill a few years ago. But before we get into that, I do have a big apology to make, and it's all about these little packet of oil paint. So before we go any further, let's roll that intro and let's see what it's all about. Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back. Now, as I said just now, I am going to be doing a beautiful swan for you on the River Orwell at PinMill from a photograph I took a few years ago, and I'm going to be doing in oil. I haven't done an oil yet on the channel for a long time, so I felt that it was about time I addressed that and did an oil painting for you. And I also mentioned to you that I had a big apology to make, an apology not just to a company but a person too. And it involves these. Now, a few months ago, or a few months before Christmas, I saw a video using Cranfield oils, and I really was quite taken with them. I felt they looked really good, rich, and I wanted to have a go at them, to be fair. So I emailed the company, and the company reached out to me. Well, they did more than that. The owner of the company gave me a call. We had a chat on the phone. And a few days later, these arrived in the post without any strings attached at all. They came to have a play with, enjoy, see how I got on with them. And I sort of got back in contact and said I would love to do a video of these at some point and feature these beautiful paints. Now, I will also say that I knew I had an inkling about this company. I knew I'd known that name from before. And it turned out that I have a drawer over there that's full of their printing ink, because that is their other speciality. So I'm going to have a go at these. We're going to have a paint up of our lovely swan, and we're going to do it in this pretty much primary set of colours. So let's get on. Let's see how it all turns out. Okay, everybody, before we carry on and paint this beautiful swan, it's all been sketched out, it's all ready to go. I just wanted to talk more about these lovely paints. Now, this is a primary set. It is a yellow, blue and a red. It is a white, and it is a lovely couple of earth tones which just expand it beyond a primary set. But I have never even opened these, so I am really looking forward to this. In fact, you can tell I haven't opened them, so I think there's still a seal on here somewhere. But I want to treat these carefully. Yeah, they are still sealed. Look at that. There's proof. I've never even opened them, but I intend to use them fully and enjoy them. So before we go any further, then the pot here I've got is Gamsol, and there are other brands of type of solvents on the thing. This is an odorless thinner, ideal, and the other thinner that I use, well, I would say this one's dried out. I've got to go and get some more, but is Liquin. I love using Liquin as a medium to thin, and also as a quick drying agent. I've got a trusty old painting knife here that if I need to move and do stuff, that's there. I've seen some action, that whole thing. And brushes, yes, well, my brushes are always pretty much, as you know, going to be Rosemary and Co. Now, there are a couple of several ones in here. There is a special one that she sent me more recently, which actually shouldn't be in there. That's for acrylics. That is called a snowdrop, so I'm going to put that to one side. But I have a rigger, which is, I can put it into a way that you can see it, a rigger. I have several flats and a small white round, which is an ivory. These are the evergreens, and there's another ivory. And I also use another one, which is a Shiraz, which is a brown filament. They all have different characteristics, and as regards which ones, well, you can see I've got several in. They've got rounds, I've got flats, I've got daggers, and I've also got filberts of different sizes. Now, I'm not going to use a fraction of these. They're always there on hand if I want them. So what I'm going to do in my tried and trusted way is I normally go around here and down here with my colours. Normally I have far too many colours out there to create art with because they're there. You can buy them and you enjoy them, and yeah, you just keep buying more if you're anything like me. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around and I feel good, these tubes, I've got to say. I'm just going to go around in my normal way and just put out from my darks. And I'm going to come through my ochres. Let's just put that lid under there a little bit so you can see. Going to go into my ochre, which is a yellow ochre. Now that's also a good dull yellow to use. The reason being that there's quite a mid-tone as a yellow. It's not as vibrant as, say, this yellow. Now this is a bright yellow lake, and it's probably a slightly cheaper yellow to use over maybe a cadmium yellow, but it is still a very useful yellow to have if you don't want to go out and try and break the bank, that is. And the same thing here, we've got a natural vermilion. Now I've never actually heard of that. Normally a vermilion to me is quite a yellow red, quite a bright sparkly red, and it's like a cadmium yellow, a cadmium red light on steroids. But this is a natural vermilion, and to me natural is a cooler red. So I'd be interested to see how this one performs. Not used it before and never actually heard it in that combination before, but it looks good. We shall see. And I'm down to one blue, normally like my cobalt blue. I'm missing that already, gotta say. But there's ultramarine blue. This is the red shade. Ultramarine blue is made today in green or red shade. Now the reason for that mainly is in the old days, before the French introduced, or a French chemist created ultramarine blue, it was absolutely a mined rock called lapis lazuli. And lapis lazuli, even way back in the 17th, 18th centuries, was very, very hard to find and procure, and even more expensive to mine and keep using. So I believe the French president, king I think back then, sorry, the French king put out a challenge, and somebody over there come up with the goods. And so you had French ultramarine, which mimicked, depending if it was red shade or blue shade. Now the reason you got a red shade and a blue shade is lapis, depending where it's mined, has tendencies towards the green or the red. And today it is still available through other companies, and I do have some myself. It's tremendously expensive, and mine only comes out on any day of the month with a W in it. And I don't mean Wednesdays. Yeah, so it's used sparingly, but it's a lovely color blue. But the ultramarine blue has got to be said, it really does do everything that the old lapis does in a way. So I'm going to put those there. Probably won't be the last time we see this packet out and about. And you can see here that I've got my umber, my yellow ochre, my yellow lake, my vermilion, my ultramarine blue, and my titanium white. So that is all that I'm going to be using for this painting. Now I have the reference up beside me, and before we get started I will put the reference over here so you can see exactly what we're going to be painting. Okay, so that's absolutely perfect. Because we've got a portrait perspective on our painting, I'm able to show you the swan in slightly bigger format than I would normally be able to do. So we are set to get going. So all I'm going to be doing for this first part is simply blocking in a lot of the information around the swan so that we can set the swan up later on. And to do that, I'm probably going to be using a couple of flats and possibly one of the daggers at some point. And this is a very worn old fella. Look at that. That's a lovely dagger, but it looks more like a woolly mammoth. And it's done an awful lot of work for me, and it's not too long. before it starts to lose its shape. Albeit they're well made, and they are really well made. They do last a lot of time, but eventually even the best brushes out there will start to fade. But that's not a reason to throw that away. This is a reason to keep it, because this will do other jobs for you. As a brush degrades in shape and form, you can find new and even better sometimes uses for it. So that is why I have hundreds upon hundreds of brushes that are there should I need them. Probably never will use them, but they're always there if I find a use for them. Okay, I digress a little bit, but you get the idea. Don't necessarily, because it's not quite what you expected it to be, don't get rid of it. I've got to get some liquid and I'll be back in a jiff. Okay, handy little bit of rag just in case I make a mess. And here is, I hope, some liquid, which is just, it's been sitting for a while, so I'm just mixing the contents together a bit. There's enough in here to do what I need for tonight, and I often keep them in these little preserve pots, not for any other reason that when I'm out in Clarabelle working and doing some plein air, they're just handy to have in that format. You don't actually lose them, and they sit on your palette quite easily and don't cause you a problem. Alright, so where are we going to go with this? Well, we have a lot of blue, we have a lot of lovely different grades of colour. I'm just going to come in here and just start laying in some foundation colour that we can go back over later on. Now, foundation colour or a block in, doesn't matter really what you call it. All I'm doing is easing the pressure on the white so that I can then start looking at different other aspects of color relationships to each other. Okay everybody, well I think that I'm going to leave it there tonight and call it a day. It's getting late and I really want this now to start setting up and drying out for the next session. Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome back to my wildlife art channel, and for the second part of this beautiful swan painting using the delightful oil colours from Cranfield. Okay, so first and foremost then, I want to come in and I want to start mixing up a little bit of colour for the swan, but before I get into that, I want to refine a little bit more light on this water. So all I want to do is start thinking about my next layer of colours. So primarily, we know they're going to be blue. So there's my one and only blue. But if I put that on, it may be just too aggressive. But I'm looking at pure ultramarine right now. And to that I'm going to add in some white. Now that's just going to cool it down. Any white in any pigment will cool it down. Make no mistake, it will make it lighter, but it will make it cooler. I'm going to pop in a little bit, just a little tap of some, that's probably too much. That's my normal thing. Come back in with some more blue. But you can see what I've done is I shifted that blue off its axis. It's no longer that pure blue, it's a bit of a grungy grey colour. But it's still blue enough to make the difference on here. Okay, so I'm going to make a bit of a black now. So my black will never be pure black. It can't be, because we're using, these are opaque colours. This is semi-transparent, but these are definitely opaque. And this is semi-transparent. So my darkest dark is, I think, going to be between my umber here and my blue. Now I can swing it one way or another, as I said before. But I'm also going to put in just a tap of liquid, just to allow that to set up over the next 24 hours, hopefully, and dry for me. Alright, having said I wasn't going to do too much, I ended up doing quite a bit more than I first thought. And while I'm on this part, I'm going to keep that rigger in hand, and I'm going to mix up a bit of an orange to put onto the beak. Now, vermilion is going to do most of the job, but I'm going to come in with some of that yellow. That's going to make a lovely orange. I'm going to put in a little bit of the liquid, not too much, and take some of that to one side over here. I can work on it now. I'm going to come in with a bit of ochre, and I think that that is quite nice. A little bit more of that into there. Right, now I'm going to use this dark black colour. We don't need it more tonight. Just going to come in with a bit of blue and maybe a little bit of red, just to tone that down a little bit. And somewhere here, I just want to put in that suggestion of the hard. Alright, I think that's enough of that area for now. We can always come back in to the white. I'm going to put in some of the yellow ochre. Now, it's not a brilliant yellow, but it is an orangier yellow, as you can see here. And I need to put in a little bit of liquid, because I'll tell you for why. When you're painting in oils, the lightest colours take the longest time to dry. And if you're not careful, you could be waiting a couple of weeks for, if you've got this fairly thick, if this colour is on thickly, you could be waiting quite a time. So adding a little bit more of the lovely liquid into your mixture will really work out very, very well as a good decision. But to get this part done tonight will be good, because then we can come back in and can reinforce some of these shapes and forms that we've been creating. Now that is a nice strong light through there of white. Mine is not going to be quite white, not white enough. A little bit more liquid going into that mix. Again, trying to make sure that when we come back to this, that we do have half a chance of continuing, or having and not having to wait a couple of days for this to go off enough to work again. Okay, so it's a wrap for tonight, as they would say, and I'm quite happy where we've got to with this one. And once this is dry, then hopefully I will come back in very quickly and just I's and T's as usual. We will look and see where we need to make some final adjustments, some finer details in here with the detail around the face, the mask and the eyes, any feather detail that needs to be added in. And if we're lucky, we'll get it done in the next session. And if not, does it matter? We just come back again and we'll have a final session. Hi everybody, and a very warm welcome back to my wildlife art channel and to the third session on this lovely swan from PinMill on the River Orwell. So the colours up here are going to be a little more subtle. So we're going to come in with a little bit of the Gamsol and a little bit of liquid. So we've got a thing, and you saw me do this yesterday. And I'm going to come in with a bit of yellow ochre. Now that is quite a cool yellow compared to this one, but I'm going to make it more, so I'm going to put a little bit of, I picked up a little bit of red then, I just saw that, but a little bit of blue. Now I don't want this too blue because it will become very, very green in colour. I'm going to tap in a little bit of white to one side. Again, you saw me do this little mix up yesterday, not exactly this mix, but you saw me do varieties where I took one colour, added another colour to it to one side, come in this side. So I've got three colours going on at the moment that I can dive into if I feel the need to do so. Softening some of the effects down here in the foreground, but making them still quite visible and quite there. I also want to come in with a few darker pieces, I think, to reinforce some of these lighter parts. Just mixing lots of little areas between, getting a little bit more redder, a bit lighter and a bit paler, just to think about my swan's beak. I'm just going to rest on this and start work on making some light marks. See, that's pretty much the same as it was, so we're going to come in, a bit of yellow into that, a bit more white into that, keep it nice and clean. Okay, quite happy with that. We'll live with that. If I like what I've done, I will leave it alone. And once it's dry, if there's something I'm not quite happy with, I can come back in. I'm going to use some pure blue, but almost dry brushed. Very little anything in it at all. And I just want to come in here and suggest that the light is catching some of the skin at this point. come out through there. There's another one that comes out, pushing out. It's a funny little shape of the feather. It's probably just the way the wing is sitting. I don't know for sure. I'm guessing. A little colour down through there. And now we really need to make this punch because we want the tail isolated in its darkness without actually being black. Just dusting the brush over, trying to blend the subtle little change of colour that I've got going on without overpowering any aspect of it. There's quite a little shade now. If I can get this right, like a little line through here which is suggesting there is a little bit of light being eclipsed there, disappearing into shade and shadow and form. I think my beak's a little too short. I think I was working on it so intently that I actually think it's gone a little bit too short on me. I'm going to take a look at that. I'm going to extend it slightly and see if I'm happy with that look. If I am, then I'll leave it. If not, I'll take it back off. No, I definitely am going to leave it alone and let it dry, look at it and see what I feel about it. Does it say I need to do something else? I'm going to come in with a bit of blue and I want to make a nice sort of limey green, acidic green colour. I use some of this yellow up. There's also a great point here to tidy up edges that maybe have got away from you a little bit, and you know, you just need to bring something in. A little bit like there, that neck I had drawn was a little bit off the mark and it needed looking at, and so by coming in with the blues back in, I was able to tidy up that section without too much problem. It's a bit dark there. I'm going to come up here and to change some of that. So that's it, that's the signature done. The painting is finished. I'm happy with the outcome. I do hope you guys have enjoyed it. I could have put a little bit more light up through here and on the back, but I think basically we have all of this happening. We have the bird, we have the body, we have all of the reflective surface, and I think from that point of view I really am pleased with this little painting. And I do hope that you have enjoyed it, and got something from it. And I am sure that if you go and find the reference in the areas that I've suggested, then you can have a go at this one and get something more from it by experiencing exactly what I've done. And the last point to this is that I've done this in oil. You can do it in acrylic. You could even do it in pastel. And you could even do it in watercolour should you wish to do so. I do not mind. I've done the demonstration in oil just to show you what I can do with these oils. And I've shown you using the Cranfield colours, which I really am stoked over. They are a stunning oil. But I think from the point of view of this, I'm really, really pleased, really happy. So yeah, hopefully you're going to enjoy this one, and I will put it out there on YouTube as a shortened version or on my Patreon as the full version. Either way, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you get something from it. Catch you all in my very next wildlife video. Take care, everybody. All the best. See you soon. Bye-bye.